Novak Djokovic has been a nightmare for almost every player on the tour, but one particular player often got the better of him early on in his career. Who was that guy? Not many players can boast of a winning record against Novak. Of course, there are a few guys. Jiri Vesely, who has beaten Novak 2 times they've met. Marat Safin, who has also defeated Novak on 2 occasions. We have Nick Kyrgios, Ivo Karlovic, and Fernando Gonzalez, who hold a 2-1 record against the Serbian, and Carlos Alcaraz, and a few other players who have beaten Novak in one-off encounters. But there's someone, the only player with a winning record against Novak Djokovic after many more games, and that player was Andy Roddick. The American retired in 2012, but before he did, he defeated Novak more times than the Serbian would have liked. They played a total of 9 times, 8 times on hard courts and once on grass, and Andy Roddick leads the rivalry 5-4. Roddick was already popular when Djokovic turned pro. He was a former world number 1 and he had won the US Open while Djokovic was still looking to make a name for himself. Djokovic and Roddick first crossed paths in the year 2007 in the quarterfinals of the Canadian Open. Novak Djokovic came out on top in that meeting. Delight for Djokovic, and he went on to beat Rafael Nadal in the semis and Roger Federer in the final. The next year, Novak and Roddick met in Dubai, and it was Roddick who came out on top, 7-6, 6-3. In that match, Roddick brutally served his way past Djokovic with 14 aces, and Novak couldn't find a way past the American's blistering serves. Although Djokovic made many unforced errors in the game, he showed his class and didn't hesitate to praise Roddick for his smart approach to the game. The pair met later that year at the quarterfinals of the US Open. After Novak won the first 2 sets, it looked like it was going to be an easy one, but Roddick roared back to win the 3rd set and was leading 5-4 in the 4th set. Serving for the set, the American cracked under pressure with 2 double faults to allow Novak to break him. The set eventually went to a tiebreak, and it was Novak who would win the close 4-setter. But more interestingly was what came after. Before the match, Roddick had joked about Djokovic's injury claims, stating that Novak might have had ailments such as bird flu, anthrax, SARS, common cold, and other illnesses going into their match. Of course, Djokovic took note. After defeating Roddick, amid the boos from the crowd, Novak addressed those comments directly in front of the crowd during his on-court interview. He stated that it was a pleasure to beat the American in his favourite tournament in front of his home fans.
Well, obviously, Andy was saying that I have 16 injuries on the last match, so obviously I don't, right?
He sarcastically mentioned that he didn't have any of the 16 ailments Roddick said he had. Although Novak later apologised, there were more fireworks to come after. According to Roddick, he held Novak up against a locker after the whole fiasco and the pair exchanged some heated words. However, he restrained himself after seeing Novak's trainer's large frame. Although they resolved their differences after the drama, something happened which many fans couldn't believe or understand. Novak was about to experience his worst nightmare. After their 2008 US Open encounter, Djokovic lost to Roddick in 4 consecutive meetings, starting at the 2009 Australian Open. Djokovic famously retired in the 4th set of his quarterfinal match against Roddick due to heat exhaustion. It wasn't the first time Novak was quitting a Grand Slam match. He had done so in the 2006 French Open quarterfinals and the 2007 Wimbledon semifinals against Rafael Nadal. After the match, Djokovic stated that he was cramping and that his whole body was sore. This time, Roddick did not criticize Djokovic's decision to end the match early, and he denied that Djokovic's retirement had robbed him of any glory. Roddick was leading 2-1 and 2-1 in the 4th set before Djokovic called it quits. When reporters persistently questioned him on the decision to quit, Novak replied,
"Well, look, I mean, it's easy for you to say. I mean, if you come into my body, then I'll be more than happy to hear what you think about playing."
2 months later in March, they met at the quarterfinals of Indian Wells, with Roddick destroying the defending champion Djokovic 6-3, 6-2. Novak made 3 times more unforced errors than Roddick and couldn't find the rhythm of his first serve. The match lasted just 68 minutes. Novak stated after the match that he had a bad day and simply didn't have any momentum on the court, but when they met again at the quarterfinals of the Canadian Open, it was more of the same. After trading heavy shots from the baseline, Roddick broke Novak to take control of the game at 4-3. Roddick eventually won the first set 6-4. The second set was much tighter, with both players breaking each other before heading into a tiebreak. Roddick extended his dominance over Djokovic and won the tiebreak. Roddick had now won all 3 of their encounters in 2009, and he was looking like a real problem for Novak Djokovic. Fast forward to a year later, Roddick beat the Serb for the 4th consecutive time at the quarterfinals of the Cincinnati Masters to set up an All-American semi-final fixture with his close friend Marty Fish. Again, Roddick made the most out of his booming serve to win 6-4, 7-5. Despite dumping Novak in straight sets, Roddick was quick to point out that the Serbian didn't play his best.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think Novak had his best day by any means, and I was just happy to be able to take advantage of it and get myself out of some trouble there in the second set and win.
The American admitted that Djokovic was missing balls he would not normally miss on a good day. Roddick won a staggering 83% of points on his first serve compared to Novak's 59%. He was also able to convert 3 out of 6 break points, while Novak only converted 1 out of 3. 6-4, 7-5 was the score, making it 4-4 for Roddick against Djokovic. So what exactly was the problem? Why couldn't Djokovic find his way past Roddick in 4 attempts, and why was he playing so badly at times against the American? In all fairness, you wouldn't be wrong to say that Novak's body during his early career was more of a nightmare to him than Andy Roddick. Those 4 consecutive losses came at a time when Djokovic was struggling badly with his health and fitness. Novak had battled with gastroenteritis, dizziness, cramps, blurred vision, and heat exhaustion. It took an extraordinary diagnosis to change Djokovic's career forever. Initially, there were concerns that he was suffering from asthma, which was the cause of his exhaustion and breathing problems. But an experienced practitioner of alternative medicine, Dr. Igor Sedeyevich, revealed in an exclusive interview that Novak's problems were due to an imbalance in his digestive system, particularly from an accumulation of toxins in his large intestine. After watching Djokovic on TV, the doctor made arrangements to meet him and treat him, and the rest is history. In July 2010, Novak's doctor discovered that the Serbian had gluten intolerance and advised Novak to stay away from gluten-containing foods. After a few more tweaks to his diet, fitness, and lifestyle, a new Djokovic emerged, one that was clearly superior to Andy Roddick and the rest of the tour. The rejuvenated Serbian won 10 titles in 2011, recorded a 43-match winning streak, and had one of the greatest seasons by a tennis player in the history of the sport. In his final 2 games against Roddick, the American was no match for him. They met at the 2010 ATP Finals in London. Djokovic was drawn in the same with Berdych, Nadal, and Roddick. Novak defeated Berdych but lost to Nadal, while Berdych lost to Nadal but won against Roddick. There was all to play for in their final round-robin match, with both players having the chance to make it out of the group stage. But it was Novak who decimated Roddick 6-2, 6-3.
Over en uit, Novak Djokovic.
Their final meeting would come at the second round of the 2012 London Olympics. And again, Djokovic destroyed the 3-time Wimbledon finalist.
And that one will do.
The match lasted only 54 minutes and Roddick could only win 3 games, 6-2, 6-1. That was it. Roddick was totally outplayed in their final meeting. But do not take any credit away from his previous performances. The back-to-back wins against Djokovic were no fluke and the American fully deserved them. Unfortunately for fans, Roddick retired that year and Djokovic never got the chance to overturn their head-to-head in his favour. Years later, Roddick has continued to show his admiration for Djokovic. When asked how he managed to win their head-to-head, Andy Roddick gave a lighthearted answer by saying that he had to retire before playing him again. He also stated that back then, Novak wasn't the beast that he is now. Interestingly, Novak reached 10 ATP finals and won 5 titles in 2009, despite his health and fitness struggles. So his season wasn't bad by any standard, but looking back at what the Serb has achieved now, it is safe to say that Djokovic was still on his way to becoming the best returner of all time, and that Andy Roddick's thunderous serves were a problem for him early on. But then, we could also argue that Andy Roddick was already getting past his peak when he played Novak, which further shows the Americans' wins were fully deserved. Djokovic and Roddick shared an interesting, should we call it, rivalry. Having played some classic matches, these guys have nothing but great things to say about each other. Still, the records will show that Andy Roddick is one of the few players with a winning head-to-head record against Novak. Being a big server surely helps, but unlike the other guys who have played only 2 or 3 matches against Djokovic, Roddick played 9 and will forever hold the record as he is retired. But for Novak, he continues to make history. Can anyone stop him? Watch this next video to find out.